All right, Tesla owners, so I know you use Autopilot, I do too, and what I did in the previous video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, I'll have it in the description below, is basically have it to where when you use Autopilot, the car never ever asks you to put your hands on the steering wheel. You could drive like your entire range without ever having to grab the steering wheel. And this is awesome for long freeway trips. How did I do it? Well, go check out that video. In this video, we're basically going to be upgrading it. There's two major upgrades that I'm going to do. One of them is with this, it's a switch. And so basically in the previous one, I always had to unplug and plug it back in for it to work, to get power. Now it's just gonna have a switch so I can always flick it on and off. So gonna make it super simple, and you can mount it anywhere near where you're driving. So anywhere near the steering wheel. So whenever you're driving, you could always just flick it on and then flick it off. Super simple, super easy. You don't have to worry about unplugging it, which means you can route the power anywhere in the car. That's gonna be like a little bonus at the end of this video. I'm gonna route it somewhere where it's completely hidden. You can route it to a power bank if you want. As long as it's in the car, you can power it for wherever. Now, the second thing I'm gonna do is update the housing, because in the previous one, there wasn't really a housing. It looked more like a ball. And because I love Enhauto, what is better than making the housing with paying respects to Enhauto, paying respects to the design of the sexy button. It's basically a really big sexy button. So that's kind of it. It's a big sexy button, a switch, and some power modifications. That's pretty much all we're going to be doing in this video. So stay tuned to learn how to make your car so much smarter with Enhauto. It's also so much better. So smarter and better. We're gonna do some fun wiring. Pretty simple though. So if you want to follow along and do it yourself, it allows you to drive in peace, and I would totally recommend it. Though, remember, your car will never ever ask you to put your hands on the steering wheel, so theoretically it will drive forever. Gotta use this responsibly, because it could end up being really bad if you don't pay attention. So pay attention while you use it. With that being said, let's get right into it.
All right, guys, so I just got finished 3D printing this little piece to where it slides into the center console and where all the switches are gonna go. It's cool because in the future I can either bore more holes or I could 3D print another one of these and then just wire in the switches again that way. It's super sick though, because all your switches are just sitting inside of here and they lock into place. So if I really push out, you can see the locking tabs and it just sits in there. Awesome, guys. Now I made the tabs on the side, the locking tabs, a little bit too small. I'll fix that in the CAD design, so when you download it, hopefully it'll be a little bit better, but I don't like wasting materials, so for this one, I think I'll just use some hot glue and put it over to make kind of like a rubber seam, and maybe you can do that too. It might like hold better and prevent it from like wiggling around. Just kind of some rubber to add some friction against the metal when it slides in, and it'll hold it there. It's pretty much all it's doing. For future, if I ever wanted more of these, like I said, I'd print out another one. Depending on how you have things wired, this could be kind of a hassle to remove the switches because they go from the top and not through the bottom. So what I would do is have like a kind of a quick disconnect nearby here. That way you can quickly connect and disconnect if you ever upgrade this. But anyways, if you want one of these, let me know and I will sell one to you, or I'll give one to you. I don't know, probably give, just ask.
All right, guys, so let's take these switches and we're going to put these female spade connectors in. It's basically a quick connect and disconnect, so if you ever need to service this or swap this out, you can do so easily. So I'll have these in the description below the like button. We're just going to have 3 of these, one for ground, power, and data. I'll show you how to use these if you don't know how to. So basically you're gonna insert the wire on one end and then you're gonna crimp it. So basically close the wire, get it stuck in here, have a good solid connection, and then insert it into here. I'll show you how to do that right now. All right, guys, so notice with the ground wire, we got some metal exposed and just pulled away at the insulation. Now we can put it inside of the piece. All right, guys, so you can see that it's inside of these clips, all these wires, and you're gonna get to this step in a second. Just be patient. But what you should do, I mean, if you wanted to, honestly, you really could. Let me just undo this one really quick. Put the wire straight in like this, but there's a chance it might lose contact. This is actually what this one is doing. It's losing contact with the metal inside of here. So what you'll need is wire ferrules. I think they're called ferrules, fennels, something like that. I'll have them in the description below, like button. I love this kit. It's so useful for so many electrical problems, and it actually comes with this. This, you can strip wires, you can cut wires, you can do all kinds of things with this tool. And then this will just actually crimp everything for you. Let's go ahead and actually start crimping some wires. All right, guys, and then when you're ready, you're gonna take whatever connector you have, and this applies to all of them, and you're just gonna put it inside of there. This is kind of what it looks like in the car. You'll get to see more of this later, trust me on that, but that is it going on. That's pretty much it. We're gonna be stuffing it back here, but you'll be able to see all this soon. In the video though, I actually soldered this originally. Then I figured out that these clips exist, and these are so much better than soldering because soldering to these sucks. So don't solder, use these clips, trust me. And now it works all the time. Previously, some of the solder joints failed, which was not good, or they weren't connecting all the way. It was just a lot of problems. So this way, clips, guys. All right, guys, so little update here. Put the switches in. So I unclipped this. All you need is a pry tool. And you're just gonna go in from the top, just knocking out the clips. And there's 2 clips in the bottom as well. There's a little plug right here. You're gonna need to pull up on it. You see that tab right there? There's a lock. So you're gonna have to pull up on the tab to unlock it and then pull it away. Now, I did Dremel out a little hole right here, and that's just so the wire can fit in more comfortably. It's still kind of tight, but at least it's not biting into the wire, which is good. So that's pretty much it. It doesn't look any different on the surface. I mean, you're really not gonna see it when you just clip it back in down there. There's a whole compartment, and this compartment is what's going to be housing the button in the electronics. So all that's going to live in there, and then the rest of this needs to get fished through. I pushed the fishing wire in from this side. You can see where it's going in, kind of like in the back right here. So I fished it in, or I think I fished it from inside of here, to be honest. You can see it right there. And I'm gonna tape our current wire to it so that I can pull it out and through, and we're just gonna go around here and have a power source. You wanna see how I put an external battery in this car? Check out the link in the description below. So it powers all of my aftermarket accessories. But I'm super psyched. All right, guys, so I took my multimeter to the wire that's running to the powered auto presenting door handles. These ones right here, check these out. If you want your own, check them out. There's a whole video of them on the channel. They're awesome. Anyways, back to this. This right here is about 13 volt, 3 amps. And that's so much for this. I don't feel extremely comfortable running it off this. So this is like a high voltage wire that's up here. And just for possible future projects to kind of future proof everything, I want to run a low voltage wire up here. And that low voltage wire is about 5 volts, 2.4 amps, I believe. So we're basically going to run it from the external battery back here. And I have this wire that honestly could have just soldered together. Just 2 old USB wires. I almost said USB-C, they're USB-A wires. And they're just clipped together using these clips. I'll have these clips in the description below the like button. And then it's gonna go out to here. I'm going to cut the insulation off this. And this is gonna go to the button. Ton of wire, ton of cabling. So hopefully it can make it all the way to the front. I just took off this bottom panel and we're going to run it underneath here, under the carpet, into the front. And this is the power bank. So this is the end of it. It's USB-A, so we can plug into here. Or if you ever need to, for whatever reason, I mean, you could just plug this into a power bank. So yeah, super versatile. Let's run this cabling up. We're going to need to remove the panel that goes right here. It's just this one. It's a little faux leather piece. You're gonna pull straight out from the top. Mine already broke off, so I just zip tied it back together, and then up, so you can get rid of this clip. So out, and then up, and then that whole panel comes off. From there, we'll need to remove this one and then snake it under this panel. You can pop this panel straight out. This one just comes straight up, and that's how you run the cabling underneath here. It's just one long channel. We'll get it up here and we'll start working on it. All right, guys, it's crazy hot in here, so sorry if you can hear the air condition running, but essentially what I have here is the following. I've used my fishing wire to fish the wire underneath this carpet. You can pull it up a little bit, that helps a lot. There's also a clip right here. I just undid that and pulled the carpet up a little bit on both sides and fed the wire down and through. So we have our positive and negative. I'm gonna connect it to there. I have a 20 amp fuse. You could probably use honestly like a 5 amp fuse. You don't gotta do anything crazy. I just had this one lying around, so I'm gonna use it. 20 amps is pretty good because I think the microcontroller can handle this. Theoretically, it can handle the whole 12 volt. So technically I could have probably T-tapped it to the other high voltage one running from my external battery, but I don't care to chance it. Plus I want a low voltage wire running up here anyways in case I wanna do other stuff. So we got this wire and I'm gonna connect it in through here. Now this is the one that's coming out. So I have the power and ground like this, and then the power and ground on this side going out. The yellow on this side is the trigger wire, so that's going in. That's what's going to feed into the power for this. I'm gonna cut this cable open in a second and wire it through. The yellow and the green on this side don't mean anything. Okay, if you don't have any electrical background, and even if you do, this isn't laid out very well, so if you have any questions, as always, leave a comment below. We're pretty much done. So let's take a step back from here and take a broad look of everything now that we have everything kind of cleaned up. So remember, this is the cable that's coming from the external battery. It's being routed all along the entire car, making its way up here. I have this connection because this next wire is being snaked under here, and this one already wasn't long enough. I have it coming underneath the carpet, running alongside the carpet, up into here. Once it hits here, it's coming out of the center, and the center part is right here. So it's coming out of here, and it's going to this, what I have right here. Now that's power and ground. So let's focus on the power for a second. So the power is this wire. It's coming into this channel, which is going to run into the switch. After we deal with power, we obviously have to have ground. So from the switch, the ground is this blue channel. We have the black wire going in there, coming out of here, and then the ground is going back all the way to the battery. Now, this little T-tap right here is also grounding the micro USB for our microcontroller. That needs to be grounded too, so it's tapping into the ground. What about the trigger wire? Well, the trigger wire is this yellow wire, and it's only coming from the switch. Gonna click this on once that connection closes, or when we touch the switch. And it's going to this red wire, which is the positive wire for our microcontroller, which is basically feeding it power. I basically wrapped up the fuse here, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. And it's all wrapped up super nicely. It kind of looks like a heart, because I love you guys. And it's pretty cool. You can see the electronics underneath here, even though it's gonna be hidden, so no one's gonna see it. Unless you wanna show it off in your build, I just use some transparent filament. And of course, you could make it bigger to fit everything and then also put a lid on it as well, but that's just gonna go inside of there. So I'm gonna mount it and I'll show you what it looks like. All right guys, so I have the huge little guy. Well, it's not even that big, but it sits back there perfectly fine. I can still plug in the USB-Cs. Everything's gonna be hidden, and then the wire is just gonna come up along here for the part wherever it is that I jumbled out. Wait, where did I put that thing? Where? Okay guys, I actually have no clue. I lost it. Oh, just kidding. It's right here. It's been right there the whole time. Anyways, we just need to wire everything now. So it sits in here. I'm super excited to get this working. Ah, so sick. All right guys, so this is pretty much the center console. Let me flick this on. You'll see the light start going on here, right? Ready? So flick. You can look inside of here. And you should see the lights going. That's how you know it's working. Once you confirmed it's working, everything is good. We'll flick this off, and then we can close this back up. All right guys, with everything pretty much cleaned up, so all the panels are back in place. It looks pretty stock, except for that, you know, new white strip with the buttons in the middle, but don't worry about that. The whole center console is going to be white. I'm gonna wrap it later on, so that is nothing to worry about. Anyways, let's take a look at it. Let's take a closer look. So you can see there's no visible wires or anything. I need to fix this. Recycle, reduce, reuse. I didn't want to print another one of these, but in the description, when I have this STL file, I'll have this side raised a little bit so that you don't need this hot glue, and it should just snap into place. As for this little notch right here, I'm also going to add an arc to the top, and the switches will be pretty cool, actually go with the arc. So I got to update that STL file. The only thing that you can really see if you look on this side is this wire. Otherwise, you can't really notice it. I mean, you kind of can, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal for me. And I think it's kind of cool because it's a talking point if someone ever sees that. Now, this I also need to fix by just changing the print quality to be better. I have a very basic printer. Anyways, let's flick this on. So this one's not connected to anything. Nothing happens. This one is. Flicking it on starts the Autopilot anti-nag. So I will never have to touch the steering wheel again. This works with FSD and standard Autopilot, which is awesome.